Good evening. Florida's Department of Transportation and Florida's Turnpike Enterprise would like to welcome you to the Alternatives Public Information Meeting for the Central Polk Parkway East Project Development and Environment or PD&E study. We appreciate your attendance and participation. This meeting will begin with introductions of the study team members participating in tonight's virtual meeting. We will then show a project informational video that runs for approximately 25 minutes. After the video ends, we will answer questions that were submitted through the meeting registration by last Friday, April 18th. My name is Jasmine Haywood. I'm the Turnpike Project Manager. Nathan Silva, representing the consultant team, will assist me with responding to the previously submitted questions. We will now show the project informational video, and remember it runs for about 25 minutes.
The Florida Department of Transportation, Florida's Turnpike Enterprise, welcomes you to the Alternatives Public Information Meeting for the Project Development and Environment or PD&E study for Central Polk Parkway East from US 1792 south of the Power Line Road extension to the future Poinciana Connector or State Road 538 in Polk County. This project is being developed in accordance with the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Under Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, public participation is solicited without regard to race, color, national origin, age, sex, religion, disability, or family status. Please contact one of the Title VI coordinators shown here to express any concerns regarding Florida Turnpike's compliance with Title VI. This public meeting provides multiple participation options. The virtual option is being held on Monday, April 21st, 2025. Members of the public can participate virtually or using their telephone. The in-person option is being held on Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025, in an open house format at the Tom Fellows Community Center, located at 207 North Boulevard West in Davenport, Florida. The same information is being presented on both days. This presentation will also be posted to the project website centralpolkparkwayeast.com. The purpose of this presentation is to explain what a PD&E study is, to provide you with an overview of the study, including the project purpose and need, the project alternatives being considered, our approach to community involvement, and the anticipated PD&E study schedule. This meeting also provides the opportunity for you to ask questions and give input on the study. A PD&E study is the second phase of FDOT's project development process. It determines the environmental effects associated with a proposed transportation project. Key components of a PD&E study include an evaluation of existing conditions, identification of future traffic needs, alternatives development, and evaluation of the alternatives based on environmental and engineering factors. An important component of the PD&E process is public and agency involvement. All findings and recommendations are documented at the end of the study. If a build alternative is selected, then the project moves forward into the design phase. The study area is located in northeast Polk County. The study limits begin on US 1792 south of the Power Line Road extension intersection, which is currently under construction, and extends approximately 7 miles northeast to the future Poinciana Connector, which is under design and will connect State Road 538 to State Road 429. The CSX rail line borders the study area on the west side. This PD&E study is evaluating a new tolled limited access highway from the extension of Power Line Road to the future Poinciana Connector. Access points are being evaluated with US 1792 near Power Line Road, US 1792 north of Ernie Caldwell Boulevard, and the future Poinciana Connector. The purpose and need for a project provides the basis for developing, considering, evaluating, and eliminating project alternatives. The need for the Central Polk Parkway East includes accommodating population growth and the associated travel demands, improving regional connectivity and overall system linkage, enhancing freight mobility and economic competitiveness, and enhancing safety, emergency evacuation, and response. Polk County continues to be one of the fastest growing counties in the nation. In 1980, the population of Polk County was just over 320,000 residents, and agricultural was a predominant land use, as indicated by the green shading. By 2002, the population had grown to just over 480,000 residents, and the transition of agricultural land uses to residential and commercial uses was underway, as depicted by the red shading. The 2020 U.S. Census reported the Polk County population was just over 725,000 residents, a growth of 125%, and the red shading reflects the substantial urbanization of former agricultural areas. Polk County's population is expected to continue growing. Forecasts show that from 2020 to 2050, the number of Polk County residents will grow an additional 52%. Growth within the city of Davenport has been tremendous as well, as its population increased nearly 500% between 1980 and 2020, and it is expected to grow another 67% by the year 2040. The aerial on the left shows the high density of homes, neighborhoods, and new developments in the area. Residential and employment growth within the county and throughout the region has increased the travel demand on the roadway network. Traffic on Polk County's roads increased by nearly 40% between 2012 and 2022, much faster than other counties in the region. Additionally, the total vehicle miles traveled within the county will continue increasing. The increased travel demand has led to congested roadways. Today, light, moderate, or heavy congestion is regularly observed on several major regional roadways, including Interstate 4, US27, and US1792 during the peak travel periods. Congestion also occurs on Lake Wilson Road and County Road 532. The congested conditions on these major regional roadways will continue degrading if no improvements or alternative travel routes are constructed. In fact, heavy traffic congestion is forecasted for Interstate 4, US27, US1792, Lee-Jackson Highway, County Road 532, and Ronald Reagan Parkway by the year 2050. There is a need to improve regional connectivity and relieve congestion on the local roadway network. Several projects to link the Poinciana Parkway to Interstate 4 are under development, one being the future Poinciana Connector. The proposed Central Polk Parkway East project will connect with the future Poinciana Connector, providing the Davenport area a higher speed option to get to and from Interstate 4 and State Road 429. With more than 13 million Florida residents living within 100 miles of Polk County, the county's transportation system plays an important role in supporting regional and statewide goods movement. According to 2023 data, Polk County supports more than 81 million square feet of freight-related land uses, more than twice that of nearby counties. The Intermodal Logistics Center in Winter Haven is a major freight activity center with the capacity to process up to 300,000 containers per year. There is a need to improve the overall circulation of freight and goods and support economic development within the area. Historical crash data between 2019 and 2023 show a total of 459 crashes occurred on US 1792 within the study area, resulting in 9 fatalities and 179 injuries. Separating the local and regional traffic will reduce opportunities for crashes, thereby enhancing safety along US 1792. Lastly, there is a need to improve the local and regional travel routes to help reduce emergency response times and enhance mobility during major emergency events. North is now oriented to the right on these slides. 2 build alternatives were developed to meet the project's purpose and need. The co-located with US 1792 alternative, which means the Central Polk Parkway East and the US 1792 lanes are co-located within the same right-of-way footprint, and the new alignment alternative, which separates the Central Polk Parkway East from the US 1792 corridor. The 2 alternatives are identical for about the first 2 miles. Now we will provide details on the 2 project alternatives, starting with the co-located with US 1792 alternative. The proposed typical section for the co-located with US 1792 alternative features Central Polk Parkway East as a 4-lane limited-access highway. US 1792 is reconstructed as a 4-lane frontage road to maintain safe access to adjacent properties and serve local traffic circulation. Shared use paths are provided along both sides of the project to safely accommodate bicyclists and pedestrians. While the existing US 1792 right-of-way is 100 feet wide, the proposed right-of-way width for this alternative requires between 260 and 300 feet. We have divided the study area into 3 segments to provide an overview of the project alternatives. North is now oriented to the right on these slides. Segment 1 extends from south of James Street to south of Ernie Caldwell Boulevard. Segment 2 covers from south of Ernie Caldwell Boulevard to north of Providence Boulevard. And Segment 3 extends from north of Providence Boulevard to the future Poinciana Connector. The following slides provide an overview of major roadway features, potential access points to and from the proposed highway, overpass locations, and potential right-of-way impacts. To view the project alternatives in greater detail, please refer to the project exhibits posted on the project website or on display at the in-person meeting. The project starts with upgrades to US 1792 just north of James Street and continues to the north. The US 1792 intersection with Power Line Road, which is currently under construction by Polk County, is upgraded to accommodate the higher traffic volumes and connect with the proposed realignment of Bargain Barn Road. Access to and from the proposed new highway occurs north of Power Line Road, after which the highway will be co-located with US 1792. The highway lanes will be in the center with overpasses at select locations, while US 1792 will remain at grade. In the northbound direction, US 1792 widens to 3 lanes to create the slip ramp lanes that form the Central Polk Parkway East Highway. While in the southbound direction, after receiving the 2 slip ramps lanes from the Central Polk Parkway East, US 1792 southbound tapers down from 4 lanes to 2 lanes, and further narrows to 1 lane south of the Power Line Road intersection. Northbound drivers wanting to enter the highway will use a slip ramp on the inside lane of US 1792. Southbound drivers exiting the highway will merge onto southbound US 1792. The highway lanes will bridge over Lem Carnes Road and the CSX Railroad Spur to help maintain higher travel speeds and accommodate safe local circulation. The US 1792 lanes will remain at grade. There will be access changes along US 1792. Locations to safely perform U-turns will be provided. Additional right-of-way will be required on both sides of US 1792 to construct the proposed highway. Please refer to the project exhibits posted to the project website or on display at the in-person meeting to see potential impacts. We now move to Segment 2 of the co-located with US 1792 alternative. This segment extends from south of Ernie Caldwell Boulevard to north of Providence Boulevard. The co-located highway continues north along US 1792. Slip ramps to accommodate access between the highway and the frontage road are provided just north of Ernie Caldwell Boulevard. Similar to the first access points, northbound drivers wanting to enter the highway north of Ernie Caldwell Boulevard will use a slip ramp on the inside lane of US 1792. Southbound drivers wanting to exit the highway will use a slip ramp to exit and merge onto southbound US 1792. In Segment 2, the highway bridges over Ernie Caldwell Boulevard, Deer Run Drive, Wynell Drive, and Providence Boulevard. US 1792 will remain at grade. There will be access changes along US 1792. Locations to safely perform U-turns will be provided. The access changes along US 1792 will affect the Loftman Oaks Elementary School. The bus loop access will remain as it is in the existing conditions. Drivers will be able to turn left and right onto US 1792. Access at the parent pickup location will change to right out only. Drivers wanting to travel southbound on US 1792 will be able to make a U-turn at the Providence Boulevard intersection. Additional right-of-way will be required on both sides of US 1792 to construct the proposed highway and results in a relocation for the Polk County Fire Station. Please refer to the project exhibits posted to the project website or on display at the in-person meeting to see potential impacts. We will now move to Segment 3 of the co-located with US 1792 alternative. This area extends from north of Providence Boulevard to the future Poinciana connector. The co-located highway continues north along US 1792. North of Ronald Reagan Parkway, the highway lanes separate from US 1792. The northbound ramp provides a high-speed connection to the Poinciana connector and ultimately State Road 429 and Interstate 4. The southbound lanes provide a high-speed connection from the Poinciana connector. The US 1792 lanes will continue north, separate from the highway. This project ends on US 1792 just before a future Poinciana Parkway interchange that will be completed by the Central Florida Expressway Authority. In Segment 3, the highway bridges over Ronald Reagan Parkway. Once the highway separates from US 1792, the highway bridges over US 1792, Old Kissimmee Road, the CSX Railroad, and the future Poinciana Parkway. There will be access changes along US 1792. Locations to safely perform U-turns will be provided. Additional right-of-way will be required in this segment of the project. Please refer to the project exhibits posted to the project website or on display at the in-person meeting for potential impacts. The second build alternative is the new alignment alternative. The first 1.8 miles of the new alignment alternative are the same as the co-located with US 1792 alternative, after which it diverges from the US 1792 median through the central part of the study area. Now we will provide additional details on the new alignment alternative. The typical section for the new alignment alternative proposes a 4-lane limited access highway consisting of two 12-foot wide travel lanes in each direction, separated by a 50-foot wide median. Shoulders of varying widths are provided along the inside and outside travel lanes in accordance with FDOT design criteria. The total proposed limited access right-of-way width for this alternative is 286 feet. For the new alignment alternative, the study area was divided into the same 3 segments as before. The first segment is from south of James Street to south of Ernie Caldwell Boulevard. The second is from south of Ernie Caldwell Boulevard to north of Providence Boulevard, and the third from north of Providence Boulevard to the future Poinciana connector. As a reminder, graphics on the slides are oriented with north to the right. The slides will provide an overview of major roadway features, potential access points to and from the proposed highway, overpass locations, and potential right-of-way impacts. To view the project alternatives in greater detail, please refer to the project exhibits posted to the project website or on display at the in-person meeting. The proposed improvements would start on US 1792 north of James Street and continue to the north along US 1792. Bargain Barn Road would be realigned to join the Powerline Road intersection. Access to and from the proposed highway would occur north of Powerline Road, after which the highway would be co-located with US 1792 for a short distance. This new alignment alternative separates the highway from US 1792 north of Lim Carnes Road. The highway would bridge over select roadways and environmental features. In Segment 1, the highway would bridge over Lim Carnes Road and the CSX Railroad Spur. After the highway separates from US 1792, the highway would bridge over the southbound US 1792 lanes and wetlands. US 1792 would remain at grade. There will be access changes along US 1792. Locations to safely perform U-turns will be provided. Additional right-of-way will be required on both sides of US 1792 to construct the proposed highway. Please refer to the project exhibits posted to the project website or on display at the in-person meeting to see potential impacts. We will now move to segment 2 for the new alignment alternative. This segment covers from south of Ernie Caldwell Boulevard to north of Providence Boulevard. The proposed highway would continue in a northwest direction until it runs parallel to the CSX Railroad. It would then cross back to the east of US 1792 north of Providence Boulevard. Access to and from the highway is provided north of Ernie Caldwell Boulevard. Interchange ramps will serve northbound on and southbound off access. US 1792 would be widened to 2 lanes in each direction, to north of the interchange ramps. Improvements to US 1792 to accommodate bridge piers as the highway crosses over US 1792 would be required at Providence Boulevard. The remainder of US 1792 in Segment 2 will remain in the existing condition. This alternative does not impact the Laufman Oaks Elementary School or the Polk County Fire Station. The highway will bridge over water bodies and wetlands and US 1792. Access along US 1792 would change where the roadway is proposed to be widened. The improvements along US 1792 at Providence Boulevard will not change the access. Drivers will still be able to turn left into and out of the Providence community. Additional right-of-way will be required for this segment. Please refer to the project exhibits posted to the project website or on display at the in-person meeting to see potential impacts. We will now move to Segment 3 for the new alignment alternative. This area is from north of Providence Boulevard to the future Poinciana connector. The proposed highway continues separate to US 1792 to Poinciana Parkway. North of Ronald Reagan Parkway, US 1792 is widened to 2 travel lanes in each direction. This project ends on US 1792 just before a future Poinciana Parkway interchange that will be completed by the Central Florida Expressway Authority. The proposed highway will be on a new alignment, separate to US 1792. Because the proposed highway would be separate to US 1792, the only access changes along US 1792 would be where the roadway is widened to 2 travel lanes in each direction. In Segment 3, the highway would bridge over Ronald Reagan Parkway, a water body, US 1792, Old Kissimmee Road, the CSX Railroad, and the future Poinciana Parkway. Additional right-of-way will be required for this alternative. Please refer to the project exhibits posted to the project website or on display at the in-person meeting to see potential impacts. The no-build alternative is an option that is also being considered. This alternative assumes no improvements other than routine maintenance through 2050. Advantages of the no-build alternative include no environmental impacts, no additional right-of-way acquisition, and no construction costs. Disadvantages of the no-build alternative include increased traffic congestion, slower emergency response times, and inefficient emergency evacuation. Additionally, it does not accommodate future growth or economic development. It does not create a safer travel environment, nor does it meet the project's purpose and need. Now that we have covered the alternatives, we will review the environmental considerations. As part of the study, Florida's Turnpike Enterprise will evaluate the potential social, natural, physical, and cultural effects of the project alternatives. Every effort will be made to avoid, minimize, or mitigate any adverse environmental impacts. Results of our environmental evaluations, including the consideration of potential wildlife crossings and a detailed traffic noise analysis, will be available for public review. This evaluation matrix presents the potential impacts and costs associated with each alternative. While the build alternatives meet the project purpose and need, they will result in impacts to study area features. The matrix shows that Alternative 2, new alignment, would impact fewer total parcels and require fewer residential and business relocations than Alternative 1. It would also impact fewer community focal points and historic places, and have only moderate impacts to existing transmission poles and gas pipelines. Since Alternative 1 co-located with US 1792 falls along the existing US 1792 corridor, It will impact fewer total acres, wetland and surface water acres, and floodplain acres. The projected cost of Alternative 1 is $868 million, compared to Alternative 2, which is $976 million. Even though the no-build alternative does not result in physical impacts to any study area features or require substantial funding commitments, it does not meet the project purpose and need. Community outreach is an important part of the PD&E study process. We will gather information to understand the unique needs and priorities of the community and share information about the study's progress. We encourage you to visit the project website at your convenience to view available project information. This website will be updated through the life of the PD&E study. All the materials presented at the Alternatives Public Information Meeting are available on the project website. A goal of our community involvement program is to work collaboratively and coordinate with local governments and stakeholders to build a transportation project that achieves a shared community vision. The information that you provide at this Alternatives Public Information Meeting will influence the development of the project alternatives. A public kickoff meeting was held virtually on December 10th using GoToWebinar and in person on December 11th at the Tom Fellows Community Center. A total of 66 people attended the meetings. Attendees recognized the need for roadway improvements and generally support the project. Concerns from the meeting centered on potential property impacts and traffic noise. There are several ongoing PD&E design and construction projects within and adjacent to the limits of this PD&E study to serve the growing regional travel demands. Important projects to note include the I-4 Moving Florida Forward project, the Poinciana Connector, and the Central Polk Parkway East from State Road 60 to US 1792 Alternative Corridor Evaluation, or ACE, which is being conducted just south of this project. The proposed Central Polk Parkway East projects would link to State Road 429 and Interstate 4 via the future Poinciana Connector, and provide relief to US 1792, US 27, and other area roadways. Drivers would experience significant travel time savings. After the Alternatives Public Information Meeting, we will select a build alternative based on public input and engineering and environmental analysis. Then it will be refined into a preferred alternative and presented at the public hearing, which is scheduled for the fourth quarter of 2025. Following the hearing, the project will be submitted for approval, with an expected completion date in the first quarter of 2026. Please note that this schedule is subject to change. We need your feedback. You can provide comments at the project website, centralpolkparkwayeast.com. If you attend in person, you can complete a printed comment form. You may also email the project manager directly or submit your comments by U.S. mail to the project manager. While written comments and questions are accepted at any time, we ask that you provide comments that you may have in connection with this public meeting by May 2nd, 2025. Thank you for your interest in the PD&E study for the Central Polk Parkway East from US 1792 to the future Poinciana Connector, and thank you for taking time to participate in this meeting.
Thank you for your attention to the project presentation. Detailed exhibits as they Sorry about that. Detailed exhibits are available on the project website in the exhibit room, and we're going to provide a short tutorial on how you can access the information. All the meeting materials that will be in display at the Tom Fellows Community Center are available for your review now on the project website in the meeting exhibit room. To view the exhibit, select this project on the website's homepage, centralpolkparkwayeast.com. So that project would be 451-419-1, and once you've reached the project page, click the Exhibit Room button located at the top of the page to review the project exhibits. The new page that opens will include a list of exhibits available for review. If you click On one of the tabs on the left, the exhibit board, along with a brief description, will open to allow you to zoom in and zoom out. For example, shown on this slide is a project location map, and it's one of the display boards that you will be able to find on the project website. If you would like to download the documents, the boards, you can, on the project website, scroll down to documents, and everything that's in the exhibit room, they are available under the document section. So now let's start answering questions, Nathan, that were submitted when folks registered to attend the virtual meeting. Question 1, is this between US 1792 and County Road 547, which is also known as Lee-Jackson Highway, and where does it extend to?
So, yeah, the proposed improvements start along US 1792, just south of the Power Line Road extension intersection that is currently under construction. And they extend about 7 miles to the northeast along 1792, ultimately connecting to the future Poinciana connector. Now, our study area, as we showed in the presentation, generally parallels 1792 and is bound on the west side by the CSX Railroad. So technically, this project all lies between 1792 and Lee-Jackson Highway.
Thank you, Nathan. The next question. Question 2, are there any plans for putting more lighting on US 1792 and traffic lights near Aviana Resort?
So regarding roadway lighting, full lighting analysis will be done during the final design phase to determine what exactly type of lighting needs to be provided along 1792 and the Central POLK Parkway Highway. Now, as far as traffic signals are concerned, you'll see on our alternatives that we are proposing a handful of new traffic signals, but every signal that's out there today will continue to be in place with either alternative.
Thank you. Question 3, will this project cause more traffic infractions and safety concerns for the area?
So traffic infractions are really more of a driver condition and how the drivers operate. So, but we are going to separate the longer distance travel, the higher speed, longer distance travel will be on the Central POLK Parkway Expressway highway lanes. Those are the trips that are going to be traveling through the study area to I-4, 429, and places beyond that, where 1792 will maintain the local travel service. So we believe that separating those two travel modes will produce much safer conditions, fewer opportunities for crashes.
Next, will there be a start and finish date set soon, Nathan?
So currently, there is no timeline for construction. However, once the preferred alternative is selected through this PD&E study, which we anticipate completing about April of 2026, we will then get into the design phase and then start the right-of-way acquisition phase once that's funded. We will have a better indication as to when construction will start once we get into final design. Now, this project continues to be a high priority of the Turnpike Enterprise and of all of Florida, so the funding will be reevaluated each year.
Has right-of-way acquisition begun in any area?
No right-of-way acquisition has started for any parcel along this corridor.
How will landowners be notified, and what's the process?
So once the design team has determined exactly how much property is needed and which property owners are going to be impacted, the department will send a formal letter to each owner explaining the process. For now, you can scan the QR code that's in the lower right-hand corner of this slide, and that can give you more details on the right-of-way acquisition process. I'll leave that slide up for a moment.
Will businesses and residential homes be bought out in order to make the road expanded?
So yes, we do believe additional right-of-way is needed to construct the project, and there probably will be residential relocations. Now, FDOT ensures people receive fair treatment when required to move from their homes to accommodate a transportation facility like this. Again, there's a QR code in the lower right-hand corner of this slide that gives you more details on the right-of-way acquisition and relocation process. I'll leave the slide up for a moment so you can scan that QR code.
Thank you, Nathan. And those brochures are available on the project website through some links. So let's move on to the next question. What's the likelihood of phasing in certain segments?
So major transportation projects like this have a very strong likelihood that the construction will be phased or segmented. We will determine that final phasing plan during final design once we have more information on the extent of each project segment.
Okay, so question 9. Would the start of this road be after Powerline Road?
So yes, as we showed on the presentation, this project will begin about 1.5 miles north of the Powerline Road intersection that's currently under construction with US 1792 right now.
Will this proposed change have any impact on US 1792 traffic?
It absolutely will. It will be a very positive impact on 1792 traffic. Motorists headed to I-4 and to State Road 429 and to locations beyond that will be able to take the proposed Central POLK Parkway highway lanes instead of US 1792. That way there will be less traffic and less congestion on 1792. Folks that are trying to make those local trips to the grocery store, to school.
Okay, so will US 1792 be expanded?
Yes, the two alternatives we showed have expansions to 1792. First alternative, the co-located alternative, widens 1792 to 4 lanes, 2 lanes in each direction, the entire length of the corridor, with the highway lanes being constructed in the median of that 1792 project. Now, the new alignment alternative widens certain segments of 1792. Like we showed, the southern 1.82 miles are identical, so the southern portion of the project will also be widened to 4 lanes with the expressway down the middle. But then north of that, only portions of 1792 will be widened. However, whatever is done will accommodate or will not preclude future widening of US 1792 when traffic volumes warrant.
Thank you, Nathan. Next question. How will this interface with the Poinciana connector at County Road 532? And County Road 532 is highlighted in yellow on the right of the screen.
Yep. So as we showed, we will have direct high-speed ramps that link directly to going from the Central POLK Parkway East to the Poinciana connector right there in the vicinity of County Road 532. So we'll have a high-speed connection from this project directly to the connector that then leads to 429 and to I-4.
As a resident of Horse Creek at Crosswinds, where would access to this project begin?
So the highway lanes will begin approximately 1/4 mile north of the entrance to Horse Creek at Crosswinds, as we show here on the slide.
Thank you. And then another related question. As a resident of Horse Creek at Crosswinds, how would this impact our entrances?
So with the widening of 1792 at the entrance to Horse Creek, we will be constructing a grassed median that will prevent future direct left turns in and out of your community. But you will be able to make a right turn out of your community, safely make a U-turn at Limcarnes Road, or if you're coming home at the Powerline Road intersection, so that you can make those safe U-turns to get in and out of your community.
Okay, so there'll be some access changes. Question 15, speaking about access. How will traffic access Loftman Crossing Shopping Mall from the Parkway?
So traffic headed to Loftman Crossing will need to remain on the 1792 frontage road lanes or surface streets. But now both alternatives maintain or enhance the current entrances to Loftman Crossing. So like we show here on the co-located option with US 1792, the blue alternative, all of the access points in and out of Loftman Crossing that exist today will continue to be maintained in the future. And likewise, the alternative for the new alignment will also maintain those entrances and exits into Loftman Crossing. So all the access that you have today will continue to be maintained in the future with either alternative.
Thank you, Nathan. How will northbound traffic on the Parkway access Ronald Reagan Parkway?
So similar to the Loftman Crossing access, traffic destined for Ronald Reagan Parkway will need to remain on the 1792 surface streets. The highway lanes of the Central Polk Parkway Expressway project will bridge over Ronald Reagan with the co-located option. Now with the new alignment option, the highway is located adjacent to and on the east side of 1792, but it will also bridge over Ronald Reagan. So access to Ronald Reagan Parkway to and from 1792 will be maintained as it exists today.
Thank you, Nathan. Will the traffic signal continue to exist for access at Providence Boulevard?
Yes. As we mentioned, the signals that exist today will continue to exist. So at Providence Boulevard, at your entrance, we will maintain that traffic signal. Now with the co-located option here on the left of the slide, the highway lanes are in the median of 1792 and will bridge over the intersection. But the surface streets of 1792 will be at grade and they will continue to be controlled by the traffic signal so you can get in and out of your neighborhood just like you do today. Similarly, with the new alignment alternative on the right side of the screen, the Central Polk Parkway will pass over 1792 just to the north of your entrance. So the access as it exists today with the traffic signal will be maintained essentially so that you can get in and out just as you do today.
Is this new road going to affect the residences in Providence?
So neither of the two alternatives we presented tonight will have direct impacts on any home sites within the Providence community. And likewise, other potential impacts like noise will be fully analyzed as part of this PD&E study. And when we come back to the public hearing later this year, we'll have the results of a full noise analysis.
Will the highway be in the median or left or right of current US 1792?
So the answer to this question really depends on which alternative. With the new alignment, or with the co-located alignment, alternative one, as we mentioned, 1792 would be reconstructed and spread out, be constructed as a 4-lane facility with 4 highway lanes in the median. So in this condition, the highway would be in the median. Now with the alternative 2, the highway is mostly in the median. Like I said, the first 2 miles are identical with a widening of 1792 to the outside, the Central Polk Parkway highway lanes in the median. But just as we said, just north of Glen Carnes, the highway will diverge from the median, and 1792 will only be widened in certain areas.
So let me clarify that, Nathan. So in alternative 1, the co-located, the highway will be in the median, and with the alternative 2, the new alignment is mostly separated from US 1792.
That's correct. Mostly separated from 1792. Only a portion will be in the median. That's correct.
Thank you. Development, schools, apartments are built on main thoroughfares all over Polk County with no turn lanes. Is this being addressed?
So this project does not address turn lanes throughout the Polk County region. This project is focused on 1792 corridor from Powerline Road to the future Poinciana connector, which is also known as State Road 538. As we've shown, turn lanes along 1792 are proposed in our project where warranted.
Thank you. Have you considered a future corridor connecting eastbound to State Road 417? There are thousands of families in need of faster roads to Kissimmee, Hunters Creek, Lake Nona, etc.
So this project, our Central Polk Parkway East project that we're talking about tonight, connected with the Poinciana connector, then connecting up to I-4, traveling eastbound on I-4 takes you directly to 417. So these projects combined do provide a higher speed connection from the Davenport, Northeast Polk County area to 417 that will get you to Hunters Creek, Kissimmee, and Lake Nona, as you said, as your question asks.
I think we're down to our last two questions, Nathan. So question 22, why has infrastructure lagged so far behind development?
So as we all know, Polk County is one of the fastest growing counties in the country. In fact, it's been experiencing unprecedented growth these last few years. So private development often is able to move faster than major transportation projects, which require extensive planning, permitting, and funding. Florida's Turnpike Enterprise and FDOT are actively working with local governments and regional partners to close the gap through long-term phased infrastructure solutions. And the Central Polk Parkway is a key part of that effort. It is being developed to improve mobility, enhance connectivity between growing communities, and support the transportation demands of this rapidly developing region.
All righty, thank you, Nathan. So our last question, and thanks for teaming up with me on this effort. Why was relief provided to Poinciana before building the Davenport infrastructure to handle the massive dump of traffic?
Central Polk Parkway East segment from 1792 to the Poinciana connector, the project we're talking about tonight, is part of a broader solution to distribute traffic more effectively and provide relief across the region, not just in one community. Our goal is to build a more resilient and connected network that benefits the entire region. We are committed to continuing collaboration with local partners and stakeholders to make sure infrastructure keeps pace with development in a balanced and forward-thinking way.
Thank you again, Nathan. With either project alternative, there will be right-of-way impacts. So here's another QR code, and this QR code, if you scan it, you can learn more about FDOT's right-of-way acquisition process. We've encouraged comments several times throughout this meeting, and we're going to end also by asking if you still have questions and comments. And I want to clarify that folks may have signed up tonight or this weekend to register for the meeting and may have submitted questions. If they were not answered tonight, you will be receiving a response after May 2nd sometime. So please don't feel that we saw your question and did not respond to it. You will receive a response. So if not, and you would still like to submit questions and comments, you can do so by attending tomorrow night or using one of these options here, which is project website, centralpolkparkwayeast.com, by email to me directly, or by US mail. Prefer those options rather than phone calls. I will be trying to answer my phone as much as possible between after this meeting. Following the meeting, a recording of this virtual alternatives public information meeting will be made available on the project website. So sometime next week, the meeting will be available in the meeting exhibit room and also under the document section. We thank you for your interest in this project. Remember, you can visit the project website to view the alternatives that were presented tonight and other project information, and also to submit your questions and your comments. On behalf of Florida's Turnpike Enterprise, Myself and Nathan Silva, we would like to thank you again for your interest in this project, and please have a good evening.